1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Geethanjali Ramnayaka. The headlines. President Ranil Wickremesinghe is invited to address a high-level panel discussion in Paris. The beneficiary payment scheme will begin from the 1st of next month. The Department of Examinations says that the fifth phase of the evaluation of answer scripts of the GCE A-level examination will begin tomorrow. The Sri Lanka Army doctors set Guinness World Record for the largest skin removal surgery. Minister Manusha Nanayakkara says that new labour laws will be introduced to change the workforce and skilled labour in the country. Foreign news. Putin claims Ukraine counter-offensive is failing. News in detail. French President Emmanuel Macron has extended an invitation to his Sri Lankan counterpart Ranil Wickremesinghe to address a high-level panel discussion in Paris at the Global Leaders Summit. The Global Leaders Summit for a new global financial pact is scheduled to take place in Paris on the 22nd and 23rd of June. The Summit for a New Global Financial aims to build a new consensus for a more inclusive international financial system to fight inequalities, finance and climate transition, and bring the countries close to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. The event brings together experts from the heads of state and government, leaders of international organizations, and representatives of the civil society, foundations, funds, and the private sector. The Aswasuma Beneficiary Payment Scheme will begin from the 1st of next month. Nearly 3.3 million people have applied for it. The chairman of the Aswasuma Beneficiary Board, D. Vijayaratna, said that information of the applicants have been confirmed by 96% to pay the payment on the divisional secretariat level. He told the SLBC that the relevant registers will be exhibited at the divisional secretariat offices. The Department of Examinations says that the fifth phase of the evaluation of the answer scripts of the GCE A-level examination will begin tomorrow. This process will be conducted in 519 evaluation boards. The evaluation will be conducted for 40 subjects relevant to the exam. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Digital accounts can now be opened in 10 minutes. People's Bank Digital Banking, your ultimate convenience.
The removal of the world's largest and heaviest kidney stone, calculus, through a major surgery performed on the 1st of this month by Sri Lanka Army doctors has made its way to the Guinness World Records. Consultant urologist Lieutenant Colonel Dr. K. Sudarshan, head of the genitourinary unit of the Colombo Army Hospital, took the lead in the surgery together with Captain Dr. W.P.S.C. Pathiratna and Dr. Tamasha Prematilaka. Colonel Dr. U.A.L.D. Pereira and Colonel Dr. C.S. Abesinghe also contributed during the surgery as consultant anesthetists. The stone removed at the Colombo Army Hospital is 13.372 centimeters long and weighs 801 grams. Minister Manusha Nanayakkara says that new labour laws will be introduced to change the workforce and skilled labour in the country. He made this remark while participating in the 7th session of obtaining public views on amending the labour rules. Environmental backgrounds will be created to suit the modern investments in the world. The workforce market will be prepared in order to provide an efficient service. A national data network will also be prepared according to the international demand of the workforce. And that ends local news for now.
Debit card, mobile and internet banking and cardless cash accounts can now be opened in just 10 minutes with no form filling with People's Bank Digital Banking.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The chairman of the Lanka Fertilizer Company and the Commercial Fertilizer Companies, Dr. Jagat Pereira, says that 1,500 metric tons of urea fertilizer have been distributed to several districts this morning. Accordingly, the stocks of urea fertilizer have been distributed to Hambantota, Polonnaruwa, Kurunegala and Batticaloa districts. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On to Watchlight. The residents of the Padalangala says that they are facing many hardships due to the dilapidated condition of the road from Kachigalara to Mamadala. This road has not been renovated in 25 years, and this is for the attention of the relevant authorities. And that came to you in Watchlight. Now moving on to world news. In the headlines, Putin claims Ukraine counter-offensive is failing. 2 soldiers dead in Japan military facility shooting. And Israeli forces face no charges over death of Palestinian American. Russian President Vladimir Putin claims that Ukraine's counter-offensive has been unsuccessful, with its army suffering major losses. Speaking at a meeting of war correspondents, he said that Kyiv's losses were approaching a catastrophic level. Ukrainian President Zelensky has denied the counter-offensive is failing. And I quote, "There is movement forward," unquote, he said in his nightly video address. He thanked Ukrainian troops for every step and every meter of Ukrainian land that is being liberated from Russian evil. This was echoed by Valery Zelensky, the commander-in-chief of the country's armed forces, who wrote on Telegram that there had been some successes. We are implementing our plans moving forward. 2 Japanese soldiers were killed and another injured after a fellow recruit opened fire at a military training range in central Japan, the army says. An 18-year-old trainee was detained on the spot and arrested on suspicion of attempted murder, police said. They alleged the male shooter fired his rifle at colleagues during a shooting drill in Gifu today. A 25-year-old man was among those killed, authorities said. Details about the other victims are not yet known. No civilians were involved, Japan's Ground Self-Defense Force said. Israeli soldiers will not face criminal prosecution for the death of an elderly Palestinian American man who was stopped at a checkpoint, dragged from a car, bound and blindfolded and then left unresponsive on the ground overnight after apparently suffering a heart attack due to his rough treatment. Palestinian leaders had called for the Israeli soldiers that detained 80-year-old Omar Assad at a makeshift checkpoint in the West Bank hometown of Jiljilia to be prosecuted in an international court. Back to the headlines of the world news. Putin claims Ukraine counter-offensive is failing. 2 soldiers dead in Japan military facility shooting. And Israeli forces face no charges over death of Palestinian American. And that ends world news.
Development News is brought to you by
Vacancies for women from Deshakti Lanka for housemaids in Kuwait, Oman and Saudi Arabia for ages 23 to 58 years. Contact number 037 7500 500.
The Minister of Plantation says that there was much interest among the people of Japan to purchase Sri Lankan foods at the Sri Lanka's Food Festival, which was held at the Kamagaya Urban Stadium in Japan. This festival has been organized to promote the tourism sector in Sri Lanka and to expand the Sri Lankan foods. And that was Development News.
Vacancies for women from Deshakti Lanka for housekeepers, home cooks, caretakers and home nurses in Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia and Singapore for ages 23 to 57 years. Salaries starting from 156,000 rupees. Interviews with foreign agents are now on. Come whether you have a passport or not. Branches, Colombo, Kurunagala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 0377 500 500.
On to sports news. The 2023 Dialogue Schools Rugby Tournament begins today. The first match will be played at the Bogambara grounds in Kandy at 3:30 p.m. St. Joseph's College Maradana and St. Anthony's College Katugastuda will compete. 42 matches have been scheduled for the tournament and will be played in many areas within a period of 3 months. The Vice Chairman of the Dialogue Axiata Company Media, Harsha Samrayaka, said rugby will be promoted. Meanwhile, the leader of the rugby team of the Royal College, Randul Senanayaka, said his team is well prepared for the tournament. For the first round of the tournament, Royal College will host 4 home games, including the second leg of the 77th Bradby Shield encounter played against Trinity College, Kandy. And that was Sports News.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The North International Trade Exhibition will be held from the 11th to the 13th of next month at the Jaffna Cultural Centre. The chairman of the North Industrial Board, K. Purnachandran, said in Colombo yesterday that opportunities will be created for the businessmen in the northern province to take their products to the international market. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
On to economic news. The material recovery facility named Eco-Wave has been officially launched by the chairman of the Central Environment Authority, Supun Pathirage. This has been organized by the Coca-Cola Foundation, Eco Spindles and Janathakshan in line with the International Environment Day. And that was economic news.
Weather report.
Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the western and Sabaragamu provinces and in the Gaul, Matra, Kandy and Nuwara Eliya districts. Fairly heavy showers, about 75 millimeters, are likely at some places in the Sabaragamu province and in the Gaul, Matra, Kalutara and Colombo districts. Several spells of showers will occur in the northwestern province. Showers and thunder showers will occur at several places in the Ua province and in the Ampara and Batiklo district during the evening or night. Strong winds, about 40 to 45 kilometers per hour, can be expected at times in the western slopes of the Central Hills and in the Hambantota district. And that was the weather report, and prior to concluding this news broadcast, the headlines once again. President Ranil Wickremesinghe is invited to address a high-level panel discussion in Paris. The Aswasuma beneficiary payment scheme will begin from the 1st of next month. The Department of Examinations says that a 5th phase of the evaluation of answer scripts of the GCE A-level examination will begin tomorrow. The Sri Lanka Army doctors set Guinness World Record for the largest kidney stone removal surgery. Minister Manusha Nanayakkara says that new labour laws will be introduced to change the workforce and skilled labour in the country. Foreign news, Putin claims Ukraine counter-offensive is failing. And with that, we end this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation,